and welcome to the Special Moves podcast. This is episode 104. My name is Mike Williams. These guys are Jake Klukowski and Liam McKelvey. How's it going, lads?
Hi, not bad, thank you.
Yeah, it's going good. It's going nice.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to next gen, boys. I'm getting more and more excited every day. I'm reading the news. I'm watching Digital Foundry opening boxes and talking about how great the haptic feedback is on controllers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I love this. And knowing that I'm getting it day one is like, this is exactly what I was excited for.
Yeah.
All along, kind of thing. So I'm glad that I'm there for the party for the first time in my life. Even though the party is getting a games console on day one.
Yeah, exactly. And then playing PS4 games.
On it, yeah.
But the hype's building, so it's a bit of an unusual one because so this is the last week before it all kicks off. But then actually the following week, it's only Xbox here in the UK. So I don't know where you're listening around the world or watching this from around the world, but in case you don't know, in the UK, and I think it is it mainland Europe as well, yeah? And
I think it's simultaneous everywhere for Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox is everywhere, but I think for the PS5, you get that unless you're in mainland Europe, New Zealand, or the UK, I think.
Yeah, so it's a week later.
So we're not actually getting the next gen till the following week, but Xbox is still making some big moves. And I think what's really interesting, and I guess why it should be interesting for everybody listening, is that even if you're a PC gamer, so many of these games are getting these huge, big bumps in quality. I guess we'll talk a little bit more about No Man's Sky later, but Destiny 2 is getting a huge, big, fat upgrade. There's a bunch of games that are doing that sort of thing. So it's going to be a good week, no matter what you've got. Maybe not a Nintendo Switch, but I'm sure they'll find something to be excited about.
Hyrule Warriors is coming out soon.
Oh.
And that's good so far. If you played the demo, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no slight on the Switch, by the way, obviously. But I'm just saying, I don't think they're getting any 4K.
No,
60.
I've actually been playing more Switch than anything this week because I've actually sold my PS4. I put my PS4 on the market and sold it really quickly, and some kids can have it for Christmas now, which is great. And so I've had a big empty void under my television in the living room where I've put my Switch, because my Switch was just kind of upstairs. So I put my Switch there. I've been playing some Switch games. I've been playing Hyrule Warriors, and I've been spending more time with it than ever, really, as just a living room games console, because I've just always used it handheld, really. I mean, I have played it on a big screen, but and I started playing Ni No Kuni, which is
a day we've been waiting for many years.
Liam popped up in a champagne that night, and I can assure you.
but it's just one of them games that, certain games just suit the Switch, don't they? And I for some reason, I think generally speaking, more Western games, I feel like haven't quite worked. Whereas something like Ni No Kuni, just the art style just is so perfect for the capabilities of the console. The graphics just look superb on it. It doesn't feel like there's anything missing. Whereas if you play something, like The Witcher or even like Divinity Original Sin, or XCOM, all games that I absolutely love. It feels like something's missing when you're playing it on the Switch, and that something is shitloads of pixels.
So Ni No Kuni, in case people don't know, is a PS3 original that finally just this year got ported over.
Which,
I think on.
I was just say a PS3 original, which itself was a remake of a Japan-only DS game.
Right,
acknowledge.
Of course, good. It's all part of a ritual, a grander ritual.
Yeah.
So I think it came out a little bit earlier in the year. Well, a lot earlier in the year. It might have even been January actually. And there was a special edition, I think, on PS4 and Xbox. I think slightly improved graphics and whatnot. But the Switch version is just the straight port. And Mike talks about the art style because if you didn't know, it's like a studio. Well, I guess you pronounce it Ghibli, but it's Studio Ghibli as far as this house is concerned. All right, it's a Studio Ghibli. The people behind Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and Kiki's Delivery Service, and whatever. They don't make games, but they lent their skills and talents to this, and the magic
and
really is there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What type of game is it?
Yeah, it just looks incredible. It's well, for a long time, it's a walking around and talking to people game, but it becomes a kind of JRPG, I guess, and I like it. I mean, I would be happy enough just trotting around, having conversations with people, looking at the amazing art, to be honest. But I'm enjoying the battles and stuff. But yeah, anyway, the point was that this Switch is getting a nice kind of second life now that I've got rid of my PlayStation 4 again. Just to reiterate. So I had an empty HDMI slot on the back of the OLED, didn't I? So I had to fucking put something in it. And other than that, I've been playing Hyrule Warriors, the demo for the new one, which is called, what's it called, Liam?
Age of Calamity.
Age of Calamity.
It's a
which is good fun, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Like they're billing it as like a prequel to Breath of the Wild. So like, if you've played Breath of the Wild, the whole world's like sort of destroyed, taken over by monsters. This is how it got to that. Is the basic setup.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've been playing it too, and it's a very generous demo. Like, I'm not even done with it. I think I've got 4 more missions left in it, and I've already played it for an hour, which is like I think it's the entirety of chapter 1 of the full game, and your save data will carry over if you do decide to like buy it later down the line or whatever. But yeah, like it is a Dynasty Warriors type game made by Koei Tecmo collaborating with Nintendo. They made Hyrule Warriors back on the Wii U, which got ported to the Switch as well. And yeah, like it's a lot of fun. It's in the very first mission you get like around 1,000 enemies taken out. So if you've seen Dynasty Warriors, like button mashing combos, swaths of enemies just exploding in the air. Yeah. I think it's a bit unfair to just call it a button masher, because there is actually more to Dynasty Warriors than mashing buttons for massive combos. It was like more battlefield strategy and, taking over outposts and managing your morale meter for your squads and all that. But yeah, it's like this one it does take a lot of design cues from Breath of the Wild. Like the menus look like they've just been taken straight out of Breath of the Wild. All the UI, you've got you've got all like the the elemental powers you have in Breath of the Wild, the bombs, the magnesis and the cryostasis and all that. They're all in this, and I think it's done a really nice job of blending Breath of the Wild mechanics with a Dynasty Warriors game, where like you can paraglide if you jump off a cliff. You've got the paraglider. I don't think you can climb any surface like you can in Breath of the Wild, but there's got to be some limitation somewhere when you've got thousands of enemies on the screen at a time. And
Dynasty Warriors is built around like corridors as well, isn't it? Choke points and things like that, and whatever. So that probably wouldn't work too well. You can actually use the paraglider in combos. So I don't know if you're supposed to be able to, but I did anyway.
No, yeah,
because you get like a bit of airtime when you're doing combos, and you can like paraglide and stuff. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And you're totally right about how they've kind of made that like uniformity kind of thing with Breath of the Wild. That's a really nice detail actually, and yeah, I think the whole look of the game, they've done a really nice job of using the art assets and things in a different way. Like the goblins, like when they're in a big horde, it's just the first time you kind of see that. It's pretty cool. Like it's pretty. It definitely like feels part of the same world. You're just kind of experiencing it in a just totally different way.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I'll probably pick up the full game. Probably, maybe not at launch, because it is launching around next gen. So I've only got so much money to spend. I can't buy everything.
Exactly.
So
and time.
And time as well, yeah. Time's probably more important, actually, at this point. But yeah, I'll definitely pick it up like later on, maybe around Christmas. It might be a nice game to play over like Christmas break or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, like if you're into Dynasty Warriors games, you'll like this one straight away. Maybe play it in docked if you can, because in handheld the performance is not great unless you really love 20 frames a second. Maybe play it in docked mode. But other than that, it's a lot of fun.
Jake, you've been doing some switching.
I've been playing, as promised, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, the sort of port from the Wii U, but like with some additional features. Well, it's the deluxe edition, so I don't think I got a chance to play many of the new and improved parts of the game. Like I think the key thing is that you can play like the story mode, like in split screen co-op. So I've just been playing it by myself, to be honest with you. But Pikmin 3 is nearly like 10 years old. So I was interested to see how it was going to age, the mechanics. You know, I mean, I've been playing pretty much, apart from Watch Dogs Legion, games from at least 10 years ago for the past like month. So this wasn't really any different. And I think because of like the cartoony looking art that most Nintendo first parties have, it ages really good. You know, so like I don't know if there has been any improvements to the graphics. Actually, I can't tell. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it doesn't look any shinier than I remember it, but it's cool. So if you don't know what Pikmin is, it's like this unusual kind of. It's definitely a strategy game, and it is a real-time strategy game actually. But you aren't like just a mouse cursor or like a god. You know, you're a little character in the midst of it all, and you control your units, which are Pikmin, these little flowery creatures. And you, like every Pikmin game, is pretty much the same setup. You crash land on a planet and you have to rebuild your ship and complete the objective. So in Pikmin 3, what's happened is the people on your home planet are getting really fat and they are just getting greedier and greedier and greedier. And so you need to go out and get some more food. So you find this planet with like an abundance of fruit, but your ship crash lands. So that happens, and then your captain is eaten by a monster. So you play as like 3 different little captains. You know, it starts off one at a time. They'll land in different areas of the game, and then eventually, like missions, it's like, you know, in that GTA 5 way where you can instantaneously switch between people in different areas, and you kind of go around. You've got this mechanic that Pikmin's had since it started, where it's set up in days, and each day you go through some of your resources. So you're always against the clock, really. And yeah, you're basically going around trying to get as much done in a day as possible. So the maps are pretty big, and it's quite puzzle based. You know, like there's fruit. Like the whole point of the game is to get giant fruits and bring them back. But like a fruit could be, I don't know, there could be some ice in the way, and you have to use a specific type of Pikmin to get through the ice, but maybe you don't have that Pikmin yet. So then you have to spend a day later going back to an old map and doing that again. So everything seems to have a little bit of this like pressure to it, which I'm not really necessarily a big fan of. I think it's one of them things where it's like the weapon system in Breath of the Wild. I could do without it, but you can't complain. But what it is that you can so easily see how the game would be without it, that you know you can always compare in your brain to what you don't have. So so Pikmin 3 is got there's 3 captains rather than 2 now, which Pikmin 2 had. You have different Pikmin varieties. There's like this rock one that's used to, like, you know, it's a rock, so it's heavy, and there's like a flying one that can fly, and they can speak for themselves. But it's easier than what I remember it being, to be honest. I don't know if they've changed the difficulties. There wasn't a difficulty mode, I don't think, on the first one, but now you can pick between 3. And I think, I'm pretty sure a hard mode would be the regular mode, and normal is kind of gone a little bit easier. I just remember it being a lot more difficult. So I checked it out online, and people were saying a similar thing. So I'm pretty sure it'll be that. The hardest thing about Pikmin has always been how the game controls. It's really weird and clunky. Like you kind of had to mute. So like an RTS, you've got a cursor and you drag over units and you send them into battle, and you might only want to get half of the units. Well, it's like that, but with the joystick. But also your left joystick also controls your character. So it's like your cursor's only which way you're facing. It's not been made super clean, but they have made some changes to this. The original was on like the Wii U, so it was all gyro and stuff. You can kind of go in the settings and turn that off, or you can have it on sometimes. You know, like how when Link gets the bow and arrow out in Breath of the Wild, and you can have it only for that part. You can kind of do it like that if you want, or you can have it so it's all controlled by the stick, but it's still pretty janky. But now there's like a snap-on lock-on button, which I don't remember there being before, which is really good because there's boss fights in Pikmin 3. When you're fighting a boss, you're having to like move your character around to move the camera around just to aim at the boss, which is a really fast centipede creature just ran past you or whatever. So now there's a lock-on button which will center the camera and lock your aim on. And the reason that you lock your aim on is because you throw these Pikmin. So you're trying to. So if you miss, if you're aiming and you throw them over, there's been times where I've been trying to fight enemies and I've accidentally threw my Pikmin down a hole. But yeah, it's quite a good game because unlike other RTS games or whatever, you don't hate your units with a passion.
I never hate my units, man. I respect my units. I love my units. And I want to look after them.
Well, in Pikmin, they do that by making them cute, innit? Like, you do worry about the little guys. So, yeah, I mean...
The naughty dog approach, is it? Just...
Yeah.
They whelp when they die and stuff.
Yeah. Rippling from limbs.
Shelly, no!
Yeah. Can you imagine? Shelly's a great name for a Pikmin as well, So, yeah, it's... business as usual for Pikmin fans. It's what I like is that the biomes and like the planet looks awesome. Like there's nice snowy looking places. I love the way that the camera, which is like primarily pretty much overhead, goes into this really nice like side, a side-on view. It looks a bit like how like Yoshi's Woolly World looks or something like that. And there's even parts where it almost looks a bit fucking Super Mario. When you're hopping over little logs and you can see the camera side on. And these rivers. And so the whole thing about Pikmin, which is pretty cute, is you're like pretty small and the Pikmins are pretty small. So when you're collecting fruit, like I mentioned, like a regular sized lemon is huge. So because of that, like it's got that cute aesthetic where like just regular like little daisies are big towering trees. So there's some really cool little dioramas when you're walking through maybe little streams and over the rocks. It's all really nice and cute and it's very nice in the winter. I've been in bed and like tucked up playing it and it feels really nice. So I like that part of Pikmin. That's what makes me happy. So the only other thing I wanted to say in case people are listening and they think that's all well and good, but this is Pikmin 3 is, is there like some deep Pikmin lore? Nah, it's not really. You're just some like little fucking nobodies. You land on a planet. You got this like little spaceship, little fucking onion and you're just gathering stuff. You can play it from the third one. You're not missing anything. There's one character who's like the mascot of the game, Captain Olimar, who isn't a main character in Pikmin 3, but later on, it becomes more of a thing. But you'll know him from if you just Google the word Pikmin, you'll see him, and you'll be like, oh, that's the guy. So
there's going to be a thread on our Pikmin lore, right? Or any other similar subreddit. Where they post this podcast and they're just going to fucking tear us to shreds, mate.
The disrespect.
The Pikmin lore. Yeah, they're just going to be raging at everything you've just said.
Fingers
crossed that they give us a good treatment.
Well, this is like I say, like if they find the same enjoyment in getting into bed and cuddling up with Pikmin, they can't be bad people, can they? So I'm ready to talk it out of them.
They're often the worst, I find. But
yeah. So
that's But while we're what are your summary thoughts for anyone who has no idea about Pikmin and would you recommend this to someone who hasn't gone for it yet? Because there's probably loads. There's probably loads of people experiencing these games on the Switch, and I mean all these ports and stuff. For the first time. So what would you?
I'm a big fan of the Pikmin series, but I would say, do you know what? The beauty is I don't need to say anything because Nintendo have brought these really generous demos. They did it with Hyrule Warriors, which you guys have been talking about. Because just to be clear, the game of Hyrule Warriors isn't out yet. You guys are playing a demo, and you're still able to talk about it because it's so generous. There's a nice demo, couple of hours long, and the saves carry over, so you can try it. Commitment free, really. But the only thing I'd say, because even then it's time that you might not have to download it. So but if you've got the time to listen to this, then maybe you do. But the point I'm trying to make is the game's really nice, aesthetically pleasing, it's cute, it's really cool. Apart from, there's this constant like ringing in your ears that you've got this little tick, 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 tick timer of only so many days left.
Yeah.
And it is quite stressful. I love I would love to wander around and 100% complete each map, but I feel like there's always a fire under your arse, like to get stuff done, which does take away a bit of the enjoyment. Like same with Breath of the Wild, I'd love to hoard all the cool weapons, but you can't ever really stay comfy. It's a cozy game, but with this thing that makes it not cozy. So if you're okay with that, if you thrive under pressure, then but it's
check out Pikmin 3.
Check out Pikmin 3. Yeah.
Okay. Well, while we're giving Switch some attention, then Liam, you've been playing a bit of Pokemon.
So Pokemon: The Crown Tundra, which is the second expansion to come out for Pokemon Sword and Shield, it actually came out last week, or maybe actually no, even the week before that, on the 22nd of October. It came out. I did not even know it came out until I just saw someone casually mention it on Reddit that it was out. So I was a few days late to it, but I made sure to download it soon as got back into it. And as soon as you boot up the game, it's like, hey, you've got a Tundra Pass. Go to the train station. So you wander over to the train station and you get the train. Very British, as Pokemon Sword and Shield is.
Oh yeah.
And then so you end up in this big wild area called the Crown Tundra. It's got a little village in it called Freezington. How original. And then and you get
Frozenville. I mean, it's Freezington.
Freezington.
Cool. Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, it is it's like the cities have got very it's basically cold city, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the capital city in Sword Shield is called Wyndon, and there's Wedgehurst is the starting town.
They're better. They're better names than
they are better.
They all sound like cheeses I'd buy at a Christmas market. I'm not attending because of COVID. Yeah.
Anyway, so you get there, and the very first thing you do is you go into this cave, and it shows off the new mechanic of Dynamax raid dungeons. Which, if you don't remember, Dynamax is just big Pokemon. That's it. That's all you need to know. Big Pokemon that you take on in a 4-person party. But the new dungeon system is, it has you put you on you pick a pre-chosen Pokemon for you. That's the only one you can take into a dungeon with you, and it puts you on a split path, and you can choose it. All it does is it tells you the Pokemon you'll fight here is a grass type. So, or if you go down the right path, there might be a trainer there who will give you a special item, but then you might have to fight a fire type, but you've got a grass type Pokemon. So it's sort of a balancing a risk reward type thing. So it's you can get special items if you take the riskier paths, but you might get obliterated if your typing doesn't match up. And then once you get through, you do 3 or 4 battles, Dynamax battles they are, and you get to the end of the dungeon where you encounter usually a Dynamax legendary Pokemon, which is I think the very first one. I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but when I did it, it was a Suicune, which is one of the legendary dog Pokemon from Gold and Silver. So straight away, that got me excited, because Gold and Silver the best gen. Then after that, you get a bit more story. You go to Freezington, you meet the mayor, and he starts telling you the legend of how the Crown Tundra is filled with legendary Pokemon. And that's basically setting up what you do the entire expansion. It's all about catching different legendary Pokemon, solving not very difficult puzzles to get to them. Literally, it's light up a dot pattern on the floor. That's the puzzle. Go catch the legendary. But and it's but the wild area itself is very nice. It's got different biomes. So it's snowy. There's a big open field where it's sunny. There's little graveyards where if you go into them, there's it's all ghost Pokemon. There's an icy mountain. You go up there. It's all obviously ice and water Pokemon. There's this big open field where there's loads of different bird Pokemon flying around. So there's loads of variety to it in the different areas. Just the quality of Pokemon that are wandering around in the wild area is just great. Genuinely surprising at times. Quite a lot of just rare Pokemon just wandering about it's no one's business. You can catch all the different Eevee evolutions just wandering about. instead of having to actually like work for them like you have to usually do. Just like, and then there's like a new legendary Pokemon they introduced called Calyrex, I think he's called. Ooh, he's a bit shit, to be honest. I caught him and never used him again. Even though like you team up with him to sort of like it's like the village has forgotten about him and he's like the king of bountiful harvests or some shit. It's very animated shit. So you have to just help the villagers remember him so he can get back to his full power and everyone can have a bountiful crop again.
It's quite tragic, really, that the villagers forgot about him. You help him, get him, and then you then forget about him as well.
You do realise that this is the plot of The Wicker Man from Lord Summersile's point of view.
It is basically that, except if at the end of The Wicker Man, Lord Summerisle went, "You're worthy, now catch me." That's basically it. But after that,
that sounds like an iconic alternate ending that no one's ever seen.
Yeah. It's like if at the end of The Wicker Man, Lord Summerisle willingly let himself get arrested or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, and then that's like the main plot thread. After that, it's just like you can catch the 3 Reggies from Ruby and Sapphire, Regirock, Regice, Registeel. After that, you can catch new versions of the 3 birds. You can catch...
Could you imagine? Sorry, go on.
It's all right.
I was thinking that. I was going to say Regirock, Regifizame.
That's a missed opportunity for a new Pokemon, that. But, it's like after that, it's you catch new versions of the... the birds from original 151, Moltres, Articuno, Zapdos, except they scatter all over the actual like map, not just Crown Tundra, the entire like Sword and Shield map, including the Isle of Armor expansion. You have to go there to catch one of them. Zapdos is a dickhead to catch because he literally just runs away from you. You've got to catch him on a bike, which is not fun because he's too fast. But and they're all like, they're not like the original ones, they're different types. So like Zapdos isn't electric this time, he's fighting type. And instead of ice, Articuno is psychic and ghost, I think. And then Moltres is, I can't actually remember what Moltres is in the new typing, but it's like the regional variants like they've been doing since Sun and Moon, where you could have like psychic Pikachu and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like there's quite a lot to do in this expansion, to be fair. It's definitely better than Isle of Armor. Isle of Armor felt like it was just, here's an area, here's a new legendary Pokemon, do a few battles, train it up, and that's it. Like this Crown Tundra definitely feels more exploration focused. Like it wants you to go around, seeing all these different sites, catching all these new Pokemon. Well, I say new Pokemon, it's Pokemon they cut, then added back in, which is a whole controversy in itself, but oh well. But it's like, it's very fun. There's not many battles in Crown Tundra. There's like, I think there's like 2 or 3 trainer battles at most in this one. It is all about catching and exploration. But I had a good time. I spent like a good, honestly, like 20 hours in this expansion.
Yeah. It sounds like you got a lot to say about it. It sounds like a meaty, worthy of the word expansion.
Like, I know it's like maybe a bit of a backhanded compliment to the base game, but with these 2 expansions, Sword and Shield really does feel like an actual compelling product now. It's just a shame you have to buy like a £20 expansion pass on top of the already £50 base game to get what feels like a compelling Pokemon experience. Because I know a lot of people really...
It is expensive, isn't it?
It is expensive, yeah. And I know it's especially a lot to ask of people, especially when there were so many disappointed people with the base game as it was, to ask them for another £20 for expansion packs to get like a more meatier experience is quite a rich ask. But then again, that's what Game Freak's been doing for the past 10 years or whatever, with releasing 2 versions and then releasing the better version a year after that with like, Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, Emerald, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and then Crystal later down the line. But I would. If you're into Sword and Shield, I would definitely recommend Crown Tundra to you. I don't think if you weren't into Sword and Shield, though, I don't think it'll do much to sway your opinion back out to be a bit more favourable. But I liked it. I had a good time, and I still want to go around and see what new Pokemon pop up because it changes every day with the weather and everything. So still got lots to see, lots to catch. I'm gonna go back to it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot of Switch conversation, which is nice because it's we've been talking so much about Xbox and PlayStation and even PC. There's a lot of stuff going on with PC at the moment in terms of new hardware and there's a lot going on. So it's easy for the Switch to get overlooked, even though we do use it a lot. So it's that's I'm glad we could do that. Shall we talk quickly about the it's stark contrast to what Liam was saying there. No Man's Sky, who Hello Games have been kind of updating and expanding for free for years. What are you watching, Jake?
I'm watching the trailer right now again, just right now. It's
hypnotized, man.
It's got you.
It's so good. It's so good. I think this is I've got I got 5 days off work for the PS5, yeah?
I've booked 2, including the weekend, so I got 4 days to play PS5.
Yeah. Well, I was supposed to be going to Morocco, but unfortunately, still in the throes of a global pandemic killing millions. So I'm gonna park that for now and stay at home with my PS5. But I think No Man's Sky is getting the business on day one. To be completely honest, because it's a game that I've been enjoying more and more incrementally as time goes on. But as the game gets more features and more details, the more I want to start it again. And every time I want to start it again, the more I'm reminded about just how much of an uphill struggle that first 5 to maybe even 10 hours are. There's a lot of paint by numbers crafting, and it's not as open as it should be anymore. I think it is very open the menu. Look at this recipe. Here is a very Ubisoft style directional nav to where you need to go to get the exact. It holds your hand for a long time. But
it's we've discussed it pretty recently. I think after possibly the last update, or if not the one before that. But the intro to the game is crap. It is the everything about it. The presentation and stuff is really lost the kind of wonder that it had originally. In favor of the content heavy crafting things to-do list, looking at menus, lights of fire under your ass straight away. You're not just, you're on a planet, you're next to a crack. There was mystery about the opening originally because you were just you kind of woke up on a planet with a crashed spaceship, and then you were like, well, what's happened here? I need to fix this up. But now you're just kind of in the middle of nowhere. You have to your shields are depleting, and you need to replenish your shield and run over to a spaceship, which is over there somewhere, and it's just kind of this lighting a fire under your ass and making you do a load of crafting straight away. And I have been restarting it frequently, with the updates. I've been jumping in from the beginning. I'm not like you, Jake, where I've built a character up to a good place, with a lot of a big base and stuff like that. I've been kind of wandering around and trying the different modes as well, like the survival mode and things, which are kind of a bit more appealing than the normal mode now. Just because I've been in the No Man's Sky environment so much, but I'm gonna I'm definitely gonna start again on next gen.
Yeah, same. And I hope that they can kind of give me a bit more wonder, because I started it again 3 times over the last update, once on the PlayStation and twice on the Xbox. And they all start with the same thing. You're always on a toxic or radioactive planet. There's always a storm incoming. They've taken away this, because when you started even vanilla, there was a real random approach to the planets even then. Like, so why are we going to start it again? Well, it's because they put out a huge announcement trailer thing. Well, not huge. It was very understated and similar to everything else that they do. But the point is that like they're doing a big push into the next gen with like a 4K. It's 60 FPS on consoles. There's 32 player multiplayer. A bunch of new features like lighting and shadow changes, which does sound pretty whack. But when you're thinking about what that means when it comes to a next gen, and you look at what it looks like, you very quickly understand why that's important and how that can be so impressive on a planet that is completely randomly generated. And they've added in a bunch of not even just new, like quality of life stuff like that, but there's like new features like this, like some sort of mechanoid insect creatures and lots of different variety on the cyborgs that are around because there's been a huge creature variety update, but the one thing that did seem to be pretty lackluster still was the presence of the Sentinels, which are like the kind of robot life forms, well, not life forms, but the robots that are kind of on all these planets as the kind of like Space Force like law. They're almost like the law, right? They protect the endangered species of flora and fauna, and also come and get you if you're being a bad boy in space, innit? And I am a bad boy in space, so I've been frequently on the other end of their death rays. But to see that there's now like mechs you can get in, and there's all these these dog-looking creatures and shit. It looks really, really cool, and I want to be able to just find a planet of my own that's going to be bountiful and set up a base, and it'll be all nice. But I'm going to need to put about 10 hours into this bloody hurdle at the beginning. So I've got a day off, and I think I'll smash that like on the PS5.
It is a hurdle. It's not pleasant, and it should be. And I think they could make it. I think they should put some work on it. Really, like as among the next few updates, they should really look at the way it welcomes you into the game again, and make it more fun and less inventory heavy and less crafting heavy, and make it less of a lighting a fire in your ass, and make it more about enticing you forwards and onwards rather than kind of pushing you forwards.
I've got Pikmin 3 Deluxe now. Do you know what I mean? I don't need.
That's all the pressure a guy can handle.
That's exactly it. So yeah, I'm interested to see, because it's funny because like I think that they did hit a nice balance of this just before the next update. Actually, they had like a really cool intro, I thought then, but they've gone too far now. But it's funny because it's like people were saying, like players were saying, we need to be given direction, and now they've given you so much direction. You can only go in the direction they tell you to go until you're finally allowed to do the hyper jump thing. So
and it's right from the beginning as well. It's not. I don't see anything wrong with giving you very light impetus to just kind of have a look around and explore for like a couple of hours, for a few hours, and then put a rocket up your ass. Why does it have to happen like as soon as you hit start game? Like why? No Man's Sky next gen is among the cool free ports coming over to next gen, which is cool. And there's going to be improvements for PC and stuff as well. Obviously, it's going to look amazing on.
When does that happen? The 10th,
PC hardware. I'm not sure.
Let me. I'll see if I can find out.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I don't know if it's going to be among the first things I do on next gen consoles, but yeah, it should be a good improvement for people who are already, because it's got like this weird community like following. It's got a strong community around it. People who just get infinite replayability on No Man's Sky, which is really
another thing that is. Just like a little thing that they just drop in there again, though. It's like they're not making a big deal out of it, but there's crossplay now. So if you've got it on Game Pass and you want to play with your mates who've been playing it on PS5, it's there. So there's no mention on the date, but I assume it's going to be a day one. So,
all right then, let's read an email, I think. If you want to send us an email, the address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com. Please keep the emails coming in. We really appreciate it every week. There's always loads to read and bringing different things to the table, and it helps us put the podcast together, really. So anything you want to talk about, any opinions you've got, any personal stories about gaming, questions, if you disagree with things we've said, or if you agree, let us know in the Dear Special Moves inbox, and we'll have a read. This one is a question, really, from Adam Harrop, who says, "Yes, lads."
Yes, lads.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I know what it means as well, but it's not Special Moves, and it's neither recognised by the Hey Gamers Rebellion. But
no,
whatever. Hope the Lockdown Massive is enjoying the creepy season. Not quite cold enough to have a chat by the fire, but it is getting there. I just want to know, what are your most underrated horror games? Personally, I would say Clive Barker's Jericho and The Suffering. Lads.
Both
Adam
good
Harrop.
games. They are good shouts.
Lads at the end there. Yeah, the Suffering was...
Suffering was great.
Yeah.
Great.
It was like PS2, Xbox, PC. You can still get it on PC. It's all. I think you can get it like digitally on.
It's a prison one, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like you play as you play as a guy who's been like incarcerated for murdering his family, and then some weird shit starts going on in the prison, and it's got some great like monster design. The sound design in it, I remember being really good. Like just wandering around the prison corridors and just hearing like screams and like, you know, like these creatures who like just crawling along the ceilings and stuff, but you could hear them like quite a distance away. That was good. I remember Jericho being like quite actiony. Like you played as like, I think, was it like you were like a secret society of monster hunters or some sort of like
paranormal,
paranormal task force or something.
Yeah, let me have a look now, because the Darkness was the one that everyone.
Darkness was good.
But
I will. It's not really. It's the second Darkness game isn't very horror-y, but I will shout that out as an underrated game. Fucking hell, that's a good game. Darkness 2. Like the quality, man. The sound design of the Darkness 2, like the guns, like some of the most powerful guns you can ever use in a game. To be honest,
there was I'm trying to think of games. There's certainly games that were underrated within my circle. People thought I was a dickhead for liking them, but I found out now are hugely popular on the internet. So so me and my mum used to play loads of horror games together, right? Like still do pretty much. I think she played Resident Evil Remake, the second one.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the last one she played. But we used to play them all, and the ones that we liked the most was like Eternal Darkness on the GameCube, right? Was really good. But turns out that's like super like everyone
got a cult following.
There's one that was really fucking good, and it's the Evil Dead game, you know? Evil Dead game was good.
Fistful of Boomstick or Regeneration?
It's
and there's one called Hail to the King as well on PS1 and Dreamcast.
I think it might have been that one, you know. It's the one where like pretty much. Let me see. Hang on.
There's one of them that is basically Evil Dead 2, just in video game form, and there's Fistful of Boomstick, which is like an actiony one where you go around. You seem got time travel involved, and then there's
Evil Dead Hail to the King. It was.
I remember. I've played them all.
Evil Dead Hail to the King. Right, we had that, and it was really difficult. I found. You know, you lose your hand, and you have to have a chainsaw as a hand, and then the last boss was this brutal thing in the woods. That was really cool because the thing is, like loads of the horror games that are good get the credit that they deserve, I think. Now, it's because of like the internet, I think.
Yeah.
So whether or not it's a commercial failure, like Project Zero or whatever people think is, or Fatal Frame, people love it for what it is. Yeah. Like Resident Evil's like one thing. Silent Hill was, even in my school, people weren't talking about Silent Hill. On the internet, that's a huge thing. And like it's hard to.
I've got. It does. It starts out quite tense, but quickly once you get weapons and stuff, it gets a lot easier. Alien Resurrection on the PS1 was good. the first game to have dual analog first-person shooter controls.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. When it came out and people reviewed it, they said, "What the fuck is this ungodly control scheme?" And then that became the standard for
really.
I think I remember the cheat for that to get unlimited health. I think it was pink acid boots.
Oh no, that was Alien Trilogy, which is like Doom.
That's what I was thinking of. Right,
that's an underrated that game is so dark, like actually just physically dark, and then you can just hear like a xenomorph scattering about in somewhere. You don't know where they are, but you do have the radar like going off beeping, and they're getting closer and closer, but you can't see them. That's a good shot. I've actually got it on that shelf behind me. Alien Trilogy.
I'll tell you what's something I don't see much people talking about on the internet, but there's a game, and I can't even remember if it's called Shadow Hearts, but I think it's called Shadow Hearts.
Horror
RPG. It's a JRPG.
Mm-hmm.
That was spooky.
Yeah, it really is. It's good. And
that's spooky. There's a bit where you go to this town, and there's like this like entity in a well. The game is really spooky, and
the enemy design is great in that game.
Yeah, people don't talk about that game enough, I don't think. I remember playing it, picking it up at like a second-hand game shop, and it was an absolute belter. And I had to get rid of it to buy Tony Hawk's Underground, and I regret it.
Can relate to that.
Do you know how much it sells for now? Original Shadow Hearts 1? About £100 on PS2, you know?
Unbelievable. Because I remember trading it in for Tony Hawk's Underground 2, and then I wanted it back. And this shop normally wouldn't really shift a lot of its like RPGs and stuff, and it was gone. So I had to get this other game called like Shadow of Memories or something. It had the word shadow in there. So I went for that. But Shadow Hearts, I'll say that because it's worth a Google, you know.
I don't know if it's underrated, but I would say The Thing is probably one that I genuinely think is fucking brilliant. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like the whole squad because it could have just been so shit. It could have just been a movie tie-in.
It was cool that.
Could have just been blasting different aliens the entire game.
It had this fear mechanic in the squad, and so you had to control how, you had to keep an eye on how rattled your squad was, and then it's fucking terrifying. Like you'd be in certain situations and your squad, sometimes more than one member of the whole premise of the thing is that you don't know who the thing is. And so your squad mates would just burst into turn into like these horrible aliens, like Dead Space kind of aliens, as you're kind of hoping that they'll help you out, which I thought was hasn't really been replicated too much. I don't think afterwards. I can't think of any examples that have followed after it.
I've got loads of underrated horror games. Haunting Ground on the PS2, that's fucking good. That's a Capcom one where it's like probably one of the first games to do that you can't fight back sort of thing in a survival horror game. Right. Except you play as a girl and a golden retriever, and it's just you're navigating this like really creepy castle, constantly pursued by this like deranged mad scientist and his like various creatures that he's created. Just like a really oppressive atmosphere, some pretty gross out moments. That's good. You don't see a lot of people. You do see people talking about it now, but it's only recently sorted to like start to come. Like, to people's attention. It's like a PS2 game, it was. I just thought of another one, but I've forgotten.
You know what wasn't necessarily... I don't know how underrated it was. I can't remember selling well. I remember a friend of mine picked it up and didn't like it, so just literally gave it to me on the 360. It was called Condemned, yeah?
Condemned's great.
I played that. Yeah.
I love that game. Is great.
Do you know what it is? It might not have been underrated, but it has a scare that always sticks with me. I thought it was very clever. Do you know what I'm going to say?
Is it the mannequin?
The mannequins.
Mm-hmm.
The mannequin scene in Condemned is to me like pretty genius. Like it's like inanimate objects. You go through this like mannequin like warehouse. You go into this small little room. You turn around and all the mannequins are like in a row looking at you or whatever. And it's like it's pretty cool because they're not creatures. But I remember the game being like a joke at the end, and I remember laughing out loud. It's so tense all the way through until now. This is going to be spoilers for 2007's Condemned, but you get some like psychic power, which is literally like the Kamehameha. So you start literally. You can force push people,
but
the velocity at which you can force push people is hilarious. Like you can splatter them against the walls. It's such like the game's like at 400% speed when you do it. Mm-hmm. So these enemies have been absolutely battering you all the way through the game. You just go in, just absolutely Expelliarmus.
Yeah, because all before that, it's mostly melee combat, like first-person melee combat, and every so often you can find a gun, but ammunition is so limited in it. It's like you've really got to like pick your moments when you use guns in it.
I think there's a boss fight in it that's a giant bear.
Oh, that's Condemned 2.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, the Condemned series as a whole then. Giant bear. Cases yet. You've got like for a bookcase at him.
Yeah, that's Condemned 2, that one. Condemned 1 is like... It's a lot like 7, you know, the movie. It's like you play as like an FBI forensic scientist who is just going around investigating all these different crime scenes on the trail of a serial killer. But I just remember it now, like most of the game is actually you beating up homeless people, which is a bit.
It is.
A lot of the time you go into like abandoned tenements and stuff, but it's just like it's filled with like really aggressive homeless people who try and stomp your head in with a bit of concrete rebar if you get too close to them and stuff like that. So you have to like
so gamey, that isn't it? It's like, well, there's not enough combat in this. What are we gonna do here, guys? Like, we need some enemies, and so they've just put some fucking hobos to battle.
But then in the second game, you become the hobo. I'm not even joking.
Yeah,
like you start out.
Them two become the hobo.
Yeah, you literally do. But yeah, Condemned 1 and 2 are great. Like, I'd recommend them quite a lot.
Well, that was is there any more before we move on?
I'm sure there's more, but that's
the Halloween quota filled, isn't it?
I could do an entire podcast on underrated horror games, but let's move on.
Look forward to that over Christmas. Liam's underrated horror marathon, mainly PS1 and PS2 games.
I'd watch that. I'd fucking watch.
Of course, yeah. We all would. So thanks for the email there, Adam. If anyone else has got any send them into the DS Special Moves inbox, dsspecialmoves@gmail.com. Do you want to talk about anything else before we go into the new games?
Do you want to do Watch Dogs quickly?
Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah, because we've both played
Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Watch Dogs Legion came out this week on Friday, I think, or maybe even Thursday. And it's the third installment of the Watch Dogs series, the open world sandbox hackathon, where you play as, depending on which Watch Dogs game you played, super serious, detestable Aiden Pierce, or super quirky, family-friendly hackathon fun with an LED mask on, Nobody. This one is set in the UK, London specifically, and you are a hacktivist set with the task of saving London from the militant rule that's been imposed since quarantine, and caused chaos by creating chaos, but more organized chaos than the chaos that's already taken over London. So remember, what you need to do is save London from the chaos by causing chaos, but only a bit of chaos. So that with a squad of people who you can recruit, like Pokemon, they're everywhere, and you just pick them, choose them, save London. So that's the setup. Liam, you played it more than me, so go on.
Yeah, so I don't have great history with Watch Dogs 1 or 2, but weirdly, I actually quite like this one so far. Like you were saying, Jake, the main like gimmick of the game, I guess, is you're able to recruit anyone to your team from the wide city of NPCs. You can. Everyone remembers Watch Dogs, where you can like get a look at people's profile. It tells you like what their job is, if they're like wanted by the police for something, or if they're in debt, or or they've got some weird secret that they keep hidden. Except this time you can recruit them to your cause, and you do that just by you walk up to them, anyone you want to. You can press Y, you can start talking to them, and they'll usually ask you to do like a little mission, like, oh, someone's blackmailing me, go erase this data and I'll join you. And that's usually like for just fit, or oh, someone stole my car, go steal it back. That's like the excitement of the recruitment missions. But then so it's like, and the whole idea is you're meant to build like a diverse team with loads of different specialties Like, you can get a construction worker who can walk into certain like building sites without getting spotted by guards. So like if there's something you need to hack in a building that's under construction, go get a construction worker and you can just wander in, delete the server, wander out like it's no one's business. There's like spies you can recruit. So if you need to like go into a heavily guarded area but you want to be stealthy, if you recruit a spy, they usually come with like a silenced pistol and stealth takedowns, so you can just instantly take out anyone who's a bother to you. There's some like you can get like software developers, and all their abilities are like, you know, skewed towards like they have unlimited hacking range and stuff like that, or they have faster download speeds. So like if you're you've got to hack a terminal, but it's like, oh, you've got to defend the terminal until your download's done. If you do it with a software developer, it'll go faster, so there's less chance of you getting battered by the security forces. And that's like the whole point of the game. But like other than that, it's a pretty standard open world affair type of game where there's different factions. You do different missions for them. The missions are usually like, it sort of follows like the typical Watch Dogs template of hack into the cameras, scout out all the enemies, stealth your way through if you want, or if you want, you can just
typical Watch Dogs template, which is itself a fucking extrapolation of the typical Ubisoft template, which
exactly.
Instead of it's an eagle instead of a drone.
Exactly that, yeah. But I will say, in Watch Dogs 1 and 2, in Watch Dogs 1, it felt like the best way to get through any situation was to just blast your way through it, no matter what, because there was no consequence to just walking in and mowing down a bunch of criminals with a submachine gun or whatever. In Watch Dogs 2, it was the other way, where it felt like if you broke stealth and went with like lethal attacks, the game was just going to punish you for it. So to Watch Dogs Legion's credit, I do think it's a lot better in letting you play however you want to play, instead of sort of being like, oh, you can play however way you want, but really you should be doing it this way, you know, for the best optimal result. The Watch Dogs Legion is a lot more freeing in how you can approach stuff, and it doesn't. It's like if you like try and go in stealthy and you get spotted, it doesn't feel like you've just got to restart the mission instantly because you'll just get swamped otherwise. It does feel like you can pull it back from instead like instant failure. Or you can come up with like I found quite an easy way of doing missions. I found is, and this ties into how a lot of some operatives are just inherently better in what they do than other operatives. Like the construction workers are super overpowered because they have an ability you can summon a construction drone who you can climb on top of, and you can fly it around like a hoverboard. And so you can literally fly around the city on a big construction drone. And a lot of the time, like, there was one mission, it was building it up like, you've got to sneak into this area, you've got to neutralise this VIP, he's under heavy guard, it's going to be next to impossible. All I did was call the construction drone, flied over the top of this like open area, hovered down to just where he couldn't see me, shot him in the head with a nail gun, flew off again. And that was it. Never got spotted. And that was the entire mission.
Nail gun.
Imagine the fucking London Evening Standard like doing a think piece about the plague of construction workers gliding on their drones, and nail gunning people in the head.
But honestly, like the construction drones basically give you free access to anywhere you want to go. Like even the most heavily guarded areas of the game, where if you try to get in there normally, you'd probably get like shot up straight away. The construction worker can literally just fly in, do the objective, fly out again.
Maybe the whole game is a warning about the all-seeing reach of
construction workers. Oh no, like don't get me wrong, that is a plot point in the game. Like there's a whole plot point about how they want to automate the entire police force with just drones.
So perhaps it's intentional game breaking. It's supposed to be, it's supposed to, fear the drone. Maybe that's the
power of drone.
But yeah, it's
Ubisoft, fear the drone.
like I was saying, like a lot of the operatives you can recruit are just kind of useless. Like, so you can't upgrade. Each operative comes with a set skills. You can't upgrade them. You can't change them. It's just you get what you're given, and that's their abilities. You can't swap them around. You can't teach them new tricks like a Pokemon. They can't learn new moves. So like what you get is what you get. But some operatives are just kind of useless, and then you'll end up with like all you really need is like 2 or 3. Or even 2, to be honest. You can get through the entire game with a construction worker and a spy. If you can recruit a spy, they come with a
film I'd watch.
If you can recruit a spy, they come with a silence pistol, which basically, and guns in this game are like incredibly powerful tools. Because like every operative you recruit comes just with a stun gun, a standard, like a non-lethal stun gun.
Yeah.
But if you get like an actual firearm, you're basically unstoppable a lot of the time. Like, especially
again, perhaps that's intentional.
Maybe. It's like, because I remember I did one mission where it was a very stealth focused mission. So I went with, funnily enough, the construction worker, because I could just wander into the site without anyone looking at me.
Good.
But then, like, once I did all that, it was like, oh, you've accidentally tripped the alarm, so like loads of heavily armed security came. They killed me because they were like, well, better than, what's a fucking construction worker going to do against a private army? But I haven't a
drone.
It was a closed area. I couldn't call in the drone to fly away. But so I have, and if you die, well, you can have a permadeath mode if you want. I haven't used permadeath because I'm too lazy and save scumming like I am. But if you die, your operatives get arrested, and you have to, I think, pay to have them released, or you can recruit. If you have a lawyer on your team, they will like get them out of jail after a set amount of time. Okay. But I swapped to. I had an assassin on my team who had an assault rifle as their ability. And one of their other abilities is instant gun takedowns, which they've showed off a lot in like the trailers, the like John Wick looking moves.
Yeah.
And like when so on my second try, when the security team came for me, just took them down like in seconds with this assassin character. It's like, this is for the non-violent hacker group, by the way. This is the hacker group who proclaim themselves as being better than the private military force because they don't use violence in their cause, except when Bagley, the AI assistant, told me, hey, we need a firearms expert on our team, just because, even though we're meant to be for the people, non-lethal, let's show them how we have the moral high ground, except when we have assassins who just go around gunning everyone down on the streets. Honestly, like, going back to like the tone of Watch Dogs Legion, if Watch Dogs 1 was far too serious, Watch Dogs 2 was lol so random. Watch Dogs Legion is more in the middle ground between them two. And it is a stupid game, but it acknowledges it is a stupid game. Like, it doesn't try and... Some of the story beats are a bit like, trying to make a point, but doesn't really hit home with the point it's trying to make. But it's not so self-serious that it's like, like grim dark or ultra gritty, but then it knows it's like a silly game at the same time about hackers taking back London. But so the tone is a lot better anyway. At least I think it is.
Can you remember the name of your construction worker so we can kind of shout him out for all us hard work?
Oh, it's Veronica Griffiths.
right.
But here's
Griffiths.
Here's the thing I have to say as well. This is where I sent a clip to you guys.
Is that the person?
This is my construction worker. It's like when I went to recruiter, because it's one of the very first missions of the game. Is it tells you go get a construction worker because we need a cargo drone, and so I just like walked up to her at a building site, and I was like, and she looks like proper salt of the earth, gritty, hardened. She was having a smoke on her break when I recruited her. And then she started speaking, and I got Margaret Thatcher's voice. And I was like, that is not who I'd put to that face at all. But I thought
of a great name. I'm sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna say, the random generation can be a bit wild sometimes. Like, it's obviously mismatched an old woman's voice with this like construction worker who it says in her profile's like 38 or something, but has the voice of an 80-year-old foul-mouthed Cockney woman. But, it's like I'm liking it so far. It does have a few too many unironic uses of the phrase "rise up," literally,
Gamers,
and some of it does fall.
Rise up, just £55.
For just £55, yes, and optional in-store cosmetics if you want them.
Yeah, which costs real money.
Real money, yeah. But yeah, like it's it's my only real complaints about it is sometimes it does fall into the typical Ubisoft formula at times where, you know, like when it first shows you the map, it shows you like, here's your map. You can liberate all of London, and it's split into like sections, you know, a bit like the Far Cry camps where you got to take out the bandit camp to liberate this part of the island and stuff like that. It does that. So it's still got some of the Ubisoft stuff in it, but it's some like I've had a few like technical issues with it where, especially if you're in a fast car driving to your objective, every so often the game will just like freeze in place while it tries to load in the rest of the world ahead of you.
Yeah.
And that can be a bit distracting sometimes, especially if you're like in a car chase from a mission and the game will just like lock up for a second. Everything else will still go, like the menu, like all the UI will still be going and the music on the radio will still be going, but the entire game will just freeze for like 5-10 seconds while it loads in the rest of the world.
You'd imagine that wouldn't be an issue on next gen, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Like to its credit, I'm playing it on Xbox One X, and it's still a good looking game. To be fair, like I don't feel like I'm missing out anything because like I don't think it's being held back by being on Xbox and PS4. You know, like it is a good looking game, and like the detail in the world is actually really good. Like it is hyper detailed, like the textures and everything, and just the different amount of NPCs. To be fair, it is quite good. Like when you're walking on foot, how many NPCs are just about you. So it does feel like a bustling city. Except as soon as you get into a car, though, that illusion sort of disappears because when you're driving past, obviously it trims back the amount of NPCs on the streets, so you can actually get a decent frame rate. But yeah, like honestly, I didn't expect to, but I am enjoying Watch Dogs Legion, and I think I'm a little bit over halfway through the game. But I've done like I've liberated London. London has risen up, so I can just
finally
I can just crack on with the main story now.
Finally,
and just see.
Which is about what London kind of rising up, I guess.
It's about London rising up. Yeah,
which you've already fucking sorted. So every mission is like, don't worry about it. I've already done it.
Well, London has risen up, but I've still got to take down the private military firm and the hacker group that that's the setup of the game. Is there's a rival hacker group who like planted bombs all around London, and that's like why this private military group is now taking over London, because they were called in to bring back law and order after this hacker group bombed the shit out of the place.
Probably run by fucking Boris Johnson's cousin or something, isn't it? That's why they're fucking brought in, aren't they? What do you think about it, mate? Have you been enjoying it?
No, but I just
right.
You know, I just no. I don't know if it caught me in the wrong time. I'm enjoying some very, very focused, story-driven gameplay with Dead Space trilogy that I'm burning through at the moment. And a lot of the games I'm playing are just super lean and really know what they're doing. I don't really know if I'm just in the right mindset to play a sandboxy game at the moment. And then on top of that, like the setting doesn't really appeal to me because I hate Southerners. I'm only half joking, but when I am kind of joking. So when I'm down in London, which is quite a lot before the pandemic, I'm down in London. I'm always down there for events and for my job. I must go there a lot. And do you know what I mean?
I am. Your present tense, mate. It's fucking. That life's behind you. That's gone. That's gone.
Yeah,
we don't live in that world anymore.
I know. So I miss London. I actually do miss it. And I played this game, and it reminded me that I don't really. What I do like is the podcasts in the game and like the talk show radio. You know, like in GTA, how you've got all like the adverts and all that. I think they're pretty good. They're pretty well made. Like, I think that's a good bit of the culture. But otherwise, I played a little quick game in our WhatsApp where, I got the game 5 days early or something. Said, guess what the first mission is? Mike's like, hack a double-decker bus, hack a postbox, hack the Houses of Parliament. Hack Big Ben. Yeah, that's what it was.
Big Ben. That was my first one.
And what it is, you're in the sewers under the Houses of Parliament where there's a bomb going off. Get it, guys? Just like Guy Fawkes.
That's clever.
And you play as like an MI5 agent called Agent Dalton.
Yep.
You got this robot that sounds like it's a Stephen Merchant ripoff or something. Yeah. It's all a bit you bloody bellend. Let's have a crumpet kind of shit to me at first.
Oh yeah, they do, as was expected, they do overdo the Britishness of it. Like, yeah, I will say quick, I met a character in one mission who was like, we're like, who are you? And like, I'm no one. You'll never know me. I'm Nout. And that's their name. Nout is their name.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and it's got this horrible. This I don't know. It's a real unusual thing. I get that the UK is a lot smaller than America, so like you can fit the whole of the UK inside one state. But it's like if there was like Californian lingo and the Minnesota nice accent and all this in a game set in Florida. Like
there's unbelievable accent diversity in Britain, isn't there? Yeah. And so when you say British, what actually they mean is London, old-fashioned Cockney or posh.
Eels and fucking English. Sauce, like, but there's none of that. There's no jelly deal shit. It's all a bit, you're a bloody wanker. They say the word bellend in there, which I don't think is actually a London thing. It's something that we normally use up here. So, it just seems that, I would be insulted if I was a Londoner. The map seems pretty good. Like obviously, I follow a lot of streamers from London, and a lot of people I know from the games industry are down south because that's kind of where the thing is. And a lot of them have kind of been playing like, oh, here's my favorite pub. I can't go during COVID, so let's find it look, it's there. And the place where we went to Twitch London a couple of years ago is there, and it's detailed and it looks like it. So that's cool.
Does it have that Ubisoft, like that crew to, like, cars, washing machine, donuts?
Well,
like them signs on the crew too. Is it like that, or is it? They're a lot better than that. But there was a place that I went to in Camden that I like. Yeah, it's like this gin place, and I went there in the game, and it just said the word burger. Singular. So, I mean, Camden Market is kind of known for its food, so I guess that's not too dissimilar from the truth. But I saw someone on Twitter, Andy Kelly on Twitter, the game's writer, I guess. He tweeted like a picture of like a fish and chip shop, and it said like tuna. It was like something tuna, and it's like. You just never would have tuna in a chippy, would you? But it was just like a fish.
Yeah.
It's just like a shit detail.
Exactly. Like, they want fish and chips. No, we want more details in this game. We need to be more specific. Tuna.
It's like, I don't know, like Tracy's tuna or something like that. It was like
horrible.
Yeah. That's a long chat about Watch Dogs. So what's your overall feelings about it then, Jake?
I really like. Listen, the thing is, it could have been an amazing like open world sandbox experience. I just don't think I'm in the mood. Like, so
it could be.
I haven't touched it for that reason. For that reason, I'm exactly the same.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't even get with Ghost of Tsushima because of that.
Like,
wasn't in the mood for a sandbox.
This is my Ubisoft game for the year. I probably won't pick up another one. Like,
we'll
and that's it. I've said to you guys, haven't I? Exactly. I'm trying to keep my open world fulfillment bar empty because I've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah,
that'll be enough for me for like 2 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so that's Watch Dogs Legions or Legion. What is it?
Just Legion. Like Legion. Just no, like We Are Legion.
We Are Legion. Rise up.
Cool. Yeah. So let's do the new games then. There's a few things coming out this week before the tidal wave next week, and it genuinely there is so many games out next week, and ports and things. So these are the new releases for the week of November the 2nd onwards. On the Tuesday, November the 3rd, you've got Jurassic World Evolution Complete Edition, which is coming out on Nintendo Switch, which is a great PC. It was a great game on PC. I really liked it. Good park management business simulation game from Frontier, I want to say.
It's 100% Frontier, yeah.
And I like the games that they make. I like all that kind of management.
Planet Zoo,
Planet Coaster. Yeah, I haven't played Planet Zoo, but I do want it. And they're really like glossy and just really polished and well done, and for a genre that could be so dull and full of Excel spreadsheets like it probably used to be. I think it's fair to say, but now there's so much production value going into the design of the world and the what you're actually looking at, and making sure that you're looking at your park as much as possible and not at spreadsheets and stuff. They do a really good job of that. So that's coming to the Switch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, Jake.
I was going to say it's a detail, and I know this is going to sound really, especially for people listening outside of the UK, so I'm sorry in advance, but there's this nice detail that I think you get with those like British games, like the Bullfrog stuff really early on, theme park and whatever, and Frontier. You can kind of, I think the way, especially Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, it's got this like cool British sensibility to it, where like there's like the right amount of humour, but it's done well, and I do like what they do. This is the one I've played the least. So there was this like we did a pretty good game in live stream like years ago, and there's still some people that tweet me about the events that happened on that live stream, where basically
is that the one where the dinosaur was getting airlifted?
It was what was it, Liam?
Was it Peace you called him?
I can't remember. It was something, but his name was something too. It was like Stephen too. I think it. I can't remember what his name was.
The one you've got to tell us in the comments.
We named all of our dinosaurs, but then we named all of our dinosaurs of one type, like the same name, and it died, and we had like this like sad flute song. I think it was like the Power Rangers Dragon Flute, but it
was the Jurassic Park theme tune
on a recorder
as we got airlifted away to heaven. Yeah. And if anyone can remember what the name of that dinosaur was, please let us know. But that was years and years ago. Now we're talking like nearly 3 years ago. So to see it come to Switch is pretty cool. And I didn't really get much hands-on time with it other than that. And it would be cool to go back. But I know in your house it was hammered, wasn't like.
Yeah, I've played it on PC, and Laura played it a lot on PC as well. It's good fun, good game. So that's out on the Switch on the 3rd. On the 4th, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Söldner X2 Final Prototype Definitive Edition is out on PS4. Shoot 'em up.
So that's on... The first bit of it, you made it sound like a fermented fish.
Mean, what's it called? Söldner.
All right, Söldner.
SOLDNER.
Oh, this.
With an umlaut.
It's got an umlaut. Liam, do you know this one?
I've heard of it, but I've never played it. Like, it's just
because of the umlaut.
They all blend together after a while, all the shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, looks a bit R-type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's happening on the Wednesday, the 4th. On Thursday, the 5th, is Shadowverse Champions Battle on Nintendo Switch. There's loads of games coming out on the Switch, and it's the thing with Switch releases is sometimes they're just revealed on the eShop like 2 or 3 days before or something. So
yeah,
I'm sure I'm missing some Switch games here, but there you go. That's Shadowverse Champions Battle on Thursday the 5th, and then on the 6th, which is the Friday. A good little handful of stuff coming out. Descenders is out on Nintendo Switch, which is a sports game. You guys know anything about Descenders?
It's about BMX, isn't it? I think I've seen.
Cycling, as it's described.
Yeah. Downhill.
Yeah.
No, I've seen the box art.
Okay, cool. Looks pretty good. Dirt 5. You know what Dirt is? Rally games out on PC.
I've been playing this. I didn't know it was not out yet. I've got a bunch of codes to celebrate the launch of the new Xbox, and I've been playing this quite a bit. And I was ready to talk about it this week, and then I found out it's not even out. But I will talk about it next week because I've been playing it quite a bit.
Yeah, cool. All right. So that's look forward to that next week. That's Dirt 5 on Friday on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Another racing game, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, is out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One as well from EA.
I played the original 10 years ago, whenever it came out.
The Cops and Robbers one, is it? Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. I'm completely lost with Need for Speed. Like, I don't know what the titles are like. They just kind of overlap each other so much for me. Like, I just can't tell which one is which.
It doesn't help that they frequently reboot the old ones as well.
That's what it is.
Hot Pursuit is a reboot of Hot Pursuit from like the 90s.
Yeah,
and then
that's where I'm lost.
Yeah, and they've rebooted Most Wanted before. So like, yeah, I don't blame you. It is quite hard to follow what they're doing now.
Yeah. And
this is the one where it was from numbered ones to Cops and Robbers one. This is the one I think that started all this confusion a couple of years ago. Am I right?
No. This is like, I don't know. This is like this. They started to like Need for Speed for a while had this like early 2000s edginess to it, which everyone like. Most Wanted was, I think, everyone loves that game.
Oh, that's one else
because it was like, forget like, you know. Fat Man,
fuck the police.
Yeah, and like Fat Man Scoop anthems, customizing your Subaru WRX, and
it's fuck.
Yeah, like it was all about like putting like tribal vinyl stickers on your car and shit like that while you outrun the police. But then after a while, it got like very glossy and sheeny. I think and Hot Pursuit was one of the first ones to do that. But it was a good game. Like,
I loved it. I played it loads, and the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shouts out the Teriyaki Boys.
Yeah. But this one is the rebooted Hot Pursuit, which came out in 2010.
Of course.
It was made by Criterion though, so it's quite good. I think it was Criterion.
This is a remaster of the rebooted game.
Yes.
Came up. Okay. Right. I'm so glad that everyone understands where we're up to now. Tropico 6 is out on Nintendo Switch as well, so that's two kind of good like management games coming to the Switch.
Did you see the footage of this though?
No.
It was at that Nintendo Partner Direct, you know, the one they just sprung on everyone out of nowhere. And this did not look like it was in great shape on the Switch.
Right. It's bad if you can tell from like a reveal thing as well, isn't it?
Because that has been carefully curated to look as good as possible.
Yeah, so I think it might be just out of the power grasp with the Switch,
right?
But they did it anyway, and it hasn't stopped them before. So
yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I feel about fucking The Witcher, man. It just shouldn't be on it, but there you go.
But there you go.
Okay, so that's a good little handful of games. Thanks everyone who sent in emails. The address is dearspecialmoves@gmail.com if you want to send us anything. We'll be back next week with probably a lot to say of the week of a console launch. I imagine there'll be some embargoes lifted and stuff like that before
Thursday.
Record, so
Thursday is when all the embargoes lift. You heard it here first.
To say. Thanks everyone for watching and for listening. If you're a patron, remember if you support us on Patreon, we have a bonus podcast which we upload regularly, which is about other things, a bit of off-topic gaming, about movies, TV, all kinds of stuff. We're recording another one in about 10 minutes probably, so keep an eye out this week if you're a patron for that, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.